on national television talks about their butt surgery.
I was wondering how long it would take.
Thank you for that opportunity.
How long it would take. Technically, it was hemorrhoid surgery.
Yes.
But it was an outpatient situation, and you're saying everything went awry after that.
I had the best doctors. I had Dr. Littlejohn and McLean and Dr. Nerzia, and they were fantastic. I had problem with medication because I woke up and was in pain in OR, and so then they had to stabilize me, and we had to go back into the hospital because it was outpatient surgery. So I had to go into the hospital, and when we got to the ER, there was such a lack of compassion that I've never seen anything like it. It's my wife, I'm getting out and I'm in so much pain. I'm getting out of the car, and I mean, look at the size difference here. She's practically carrying me in. The nurse says, well, why don't you just have a seat? And I said, well, I can't. And I'm teared up. The triage nurse comes out eventually after about 20 minutes of waiting, and my wife I lay down on the couch, and she's helping me get up as he calls my name, and she's helping me get up, and she's struggling to even stand. He actually puts his hand on the door and starts rolling his fingers and goes, and I'm thinking to myself, my gosh, he never even made eye contact with me. He starts to take us back into the ER. Somebody else, finally, one nurse, looks at her carrying me and says, my gosh, do you need help? I started to cry, not because I needed help, but because finally somebody had compassion for my wife. You know, this is a two-way street here. We're both going through this.
And you're very fortunate that you had somebody there with you, and that's one thing that people often encourage. So you're in this situation, you said it's a combination of just the lack of compassion, a lack of care, also the combination of drugs that you said led you to be somewhat suicidal.
Yeah, I saw images every time I closed my eyes. I mean, I was on morphine, a synthetic morphine, Toradol, an end-of-life patch.
Now, did you know this? Because we always tell our patients to be aware of the medication. Did you have any idea?
No, my doctor, they were really good. And they said, Glenn, we're making a cocktail here that we got to keep you out of pain. You've got a choice, more pain or more drugs. And it was suppressing my breathing. And I was just not aware of everything until afterwards, of what was putting in. I had a drug in me that was 80 times stronger than morphine. And every time I closed my eyes, I was seeing horrific images from movies like Saw that were horrible, unspeakable things, Robin, to the point to where I didn't want to live anymore. I had been convinced that life wasn't going to change. It was just not worth living. It was a scary place.
You give a lot of credit to the woman sitting right next to you, your wife, Tanya. Did you have any idea that Glenn was going through, had those types of thoughts?
No, not until Saturday evening. He went in on Thursday, and he was very in and out of sleep a lot, and just because of all the medication. And Saturday, I was kind of going back and forth from home with the kids and back and forth to the hospital, and I called him and said, how you doing? And you know, he said, I'm okay, and was kind of drowsy a little bit, and I said, I'm going to come, you know, I'm coming back, I'll be there in a little bit. And he said, well, don't come back, I don't want you to come back. And I could just hear it in his voice that there was, you know, something wasn't right. And that's, you know,
and he didn't want her to see me like this.
In that kind of situation.
And she took charge, and she took me into a shower to get me cleaned up. And there were used bandages on the floor in the shower, and she got in with her clothes on and cleaned me, and then held me like this for an hour as I fell back to sleep. And it was because of her that things opened back up, and it was because of her that I had hope. My folks are 70 and 80 years old. They're going into the hospital. Somebody needs to be a strong advocate for them. They live on the other side of the country. If it's not me, if it's not somebody else, who is going to be a strong advocate for our parents?
And I know now that you are going to be a voice for so many. And we have to say there are a lot of good hospitals out there under a lot of pressure to get it right every time.
It's the people. You know, this hospital said to me, you know, Glenn, we have problems with our facilities. I said, don't talk to me about the facilities. Talk to me about the people. People connecting with people. Let's emphasize the word care in healthcare.
Well, there's a real champion on the side of many right now, but it's just good to see you well, Glenn.
Thank you.
And well on the road to recovery. And Tanya, thank you. I know you don't come on television programs like this, and I know it was very important, and we appreciate that.
Thank you.
To see you.
Thank
you
you.
both. All the best to you.